He says, consider this example. There is sugar, there is water, and there is milk. If I add sugar to the water, it becomes sweet. If I add sugar to the milk, it becomes sweet. So how does water become sweet? By adding sugar. How does milk become sweet? By adding sugar. So to make something sweet, you have to add sugar. Now there are many things in the world. How do I know them? By adding consciousness. Literally meaning you become conscious of them by bringing them into relation with consciousness. Here is this microphone. How do I know this microphone? By bringing it into relationship with my consciousness. It's a fancy way of saying looking at it. So I look at it, that means my consciousness becomes aware of it. So to know anything, you have to add consciousness to it. Just as to make anything sweet, you have to add sugar to it. Now if you ask, Vidyaranya says, if you ask, how do I make sugar sweet? So I have to add sugar to make it sweet. Because anything to make it sweet, you have to add sugar. If you say that, then how do I make sugar sweet? That means the rule is you have to add sugar to it. So what sugar will I add to sugar to make it sweet? It's a foolish question. Sugar has inherent sweetness, which it lends to other things. Consciousness, you don't have to become conscious of consciousness. Consciousness is what they call swaprakasha, self-luminous. It illumines everything else and reveals itself in the act of illumining everything else. Let me repeat that. In every act of knowledge, you, the self, are revealed. You, the consciousness, is revealed in every act of knowledge. Eyes. How are the eyes revealed? How do you know that you have got eyes? By seeing things. By seeing what? The first answer is to say that by seeing your own eyes. You don't have to see your own eyes to say that you have got eyes. You have to see, if you see anything at all, it's a proof that you have got eyes. In the same way, I am consciousness, this pure self is consciousness, it is revealed in every act of knowledge. You don't have to add consciousness to it. You don't have to make consciousness an object of consciousness. No. The fourth point that Vidyaranya makes is, he says, it is indeed shameful if we say, if I say aloud, I don't have a tongue. The very act of speaking makes it a lie that I don't have a tongue. You understand? If I say it out loud, I don't have a tongue. The very act, he says, lajja. It is a shameful statement to say that I do not have a tongue. If I speak it aloud, it means I have a tongue. How did I speak otherwise? No matter what I say. Shankaracharya says, yaeva asya nirakarta tasyaiva atmasa. Whoever is the denier of the self is the self of that very person. Without that consciousness, how could you deny something? Who or what is denying? That's the fourth point Vidyaranya makes. And the fifth point is rather amusing. It's a technical point. Here he is in debate with the Buddhist nihilist. The Buddhist nihilist who says, Shunyam, the nature of the Atman is nothing, void. To be fair to the Buddhist nihilist, Shunyavadi, he actually does not say this. Though we Vedantins, we say that, we put words in their mouths. If you actually go to their scriptures, Nagarjuna's Moola Madhyama Kakarika, what he says there is very much like what we say in Advaita Vedanta. But anyway, supposing someone comes and says, the self does not exist. The 5 sheets are there. If you open that, like the peeling the onions, layers of an onion, nothing remains after that. It's zero, nothing. Then Vidyaranya says, in a debate, you need an opponent. In Sanskrit, it's called Vadi, Prativadi. Vadi is the person who is debating, and Prativadi is the opponent who holds the opposite view. Now, in this case, the Prativadi, the Buddhist Shunyavadi, has said the Atman does not exist or the self does not exist. So he does not exist. So the Prativadi does not exist. There is no opponent. Hence, I have won the debate. To whom will I reply? You don't exist. If you say that there is no real self within, it's a void. It's a technical point he's making. And I think he is half joking. He says, if my worthy opponent says that there is no Atman, the self, it's void, there's nothing, then he does not exist. The opponent is self-dissolved, dissolves himself, poof, vanishes. Whom will I reply to? So I need not reply to that question. So that's the fifth point he makes, because the Prativadi dissolves by his own admission. It's, again I'll reply and I'll point out here, the Buddhist nihilist actually does not say that. He's not really a nihilist. One interpretation of the Shunyavada school of Buddhism, the Madhyamaka Buddhism, is very Vedantic actually. In many ways it's very Vedantic. Sharat Maharaj, Swami Sharadananda ji, the author of the Great Master, he says, what they call the void, Shunyam, we call the fullness, whole, Purnam. What they call Shunyam, we call Purnam. Exactly the same thing. So, these are the 5 points Vidyaranya says. See, the problem at this